All right, let's get right into it. Think of this as a kind of detective story. We're on the hunt for an author who's, well, almost a ghost. We've got the books, we've got the clues, but the person behind them, practically invisible. So our mission today is to solve the mystery of Daniele Lucchini.
So, where do we even begin? Well, our whole investigation kicks off with this central puzzle. You know how it is today, an author's brand, their social media, it's everything. But Daniele Lucchini? He's pretty much invisible.
And that really brings us to the core question we have to ask. I mean, in an age that's all about self-promotion, why would an author just choose silence? Is it some kind of accident, or is this a deliberate, meaningful choice? And what in the world does that silence tell us about his work?
And the difference here is, wow, it's just night and day. On one side, you have the typical 21st century author, right? They're all about high visibility, being active on social media, building that public persona. And then you've got Daniele Lucchini. For him, it seems like the works are the only thing that matters. His identity is the books. That's it. It's such a radical break from how things are usually done.
So, if the author himself is staying quiet, our only option is to follow the evidence he's left for us, which is his books. And this is where the trail gets really fascinating, because it takes us on a journey across different centuries and totally different cultures.
Our very first clue throws us way back into antiquity. Turns out, Lucchini has translated the works of ancient Greek female poets, voices that, today, only survive in these tiny, incredibly precious fragments. Okay, so from ancient Greece, we suddenly leap forward to 20th century Argentina. Clue number 2 is his curated edition of Alfonsina Storni's work. Now, she was a huge figure in Latin American modernism, but a lot of her stuff is still pretty undertranslated in Europe.
And just when you think you see a pattern, the trail takes a wild, unexpected turn. Clue number 3 is a really deep dive into the work of Dolores O'Riordan. Yes, that Dolores O'Riordan, the iconic voice of the Cranberries. So, what on earth connects her to an ancient poet?
For our final clue, we're back in Ireland, but a totally different era. Lucchini actually recovered and translated the complete theatrical works of Seumas O'Kelly, a writer from the Irish Revival who's kind of on the sidelines of literary history. Ancient Greece, Argentina, Irish rock, Irish theater. So what is the pattern here?
Okay, let's lay all the clues out on the table. When you look at all these different figures, the poet, the modernist, the rock star, the playwright, a really clear pattern starts to take shape. This is our first major breakthrough in the case.
There it is, the common thread. Lucchini seems to be drawn to voices that are on the fringes. You know, the ones that are fragile or have been forgotten or are just at risk of getting totally drowned out by all the noise. He isn't just translating words. It's more than that. It's almost like he's performing a kind of cultural care, carefully bringing these delicate and overlooked figures right back into the spotlight.
So, now we know who he focuses on. But the next piece of this puzzle is how he does it. And his method is this really interesting mix of two approaches that you almost never see side by side.
See, on one side, you have this intense academic precision. He's like a philologist digging through archives, making sure every detail is technically accurate. But on the other side, you have the deep, emotional sensitivity of a storyteller. He doesn't treat these voices like they're dusty old artifacts. He treats them like living things that need both careful scholarship and genuine empathy.
And now we can finally start to connect the dots between the author's own choices and his work. Remember that personal silence we started with? It's not just a random quirk. It turns out it's the key to unlocking his entire project.
So let's break this down step by step. A lot of his subjects were, not exactly fans of the spotlight themselves. Take Dolores O'Riordan. She was famously a reluctant star, really uncomfortable with celebrity. And those ancient Greek poetesses, their work survives in tiny fragments. They're literally just echoes in history. So when you think about it, Lucchini's personal silence, it's like a mirror. It's this powerful act of solidarity. He's choosing to step back so their voices can step forward.
And just like that, I think we've cracked the case. We can now put a name to the single unifying idea that connects all of Daniele Lucchini's work and his silence. It's all about an ethos of listening.
This idea of a literary ethos is really the big takeaway here. It's like an author's internal compass, their own magnetic north. It doesn't matter how different the projects seem on the outside, from ancient Greece to modern Ireland, they're all pointing in the exact same direction, all guided by this one consistent internal feeling. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? His work is a sustained act of listening across time. That's exactly what he's doing. Across all these different languages and eras and genres, what Lucchini is really doing is just listening.
He's tuning his ear to the quietest frequencies of history and culture and then turning up the volume so we can hear them too.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to think about. Lucchini's work is this incredible reminder that sometimes the most important, the most profound voices, well, they aren't the loudest ones. So in this incredibly noisy world we all live in, it really makes you stop and wonder, right? What voices are we failing to hear? And what amazing stories are we missing out on because of it?